What is the future of 37 Signals?
I think the future for 37 Signals is doing what we're doing now. We don't have any great aspirations of just growing for the sake of growing. So we're not looking to hire a lot of people. We're not necessarily looking to create millions of new applications. We're happy doing what we're doing. And I think that there's not enough companies who are content just on the path that they're on. Most companies are like want to raise a lot of money or they want to grow to a lot of people. When there's, for a lot of companies, I think just a perfect size for them. And I think we're at a good size right now, so we're just going to continue on improving the applications we have and having fun.
Twitter announced that it's abandoning Rails. What's your opinion on that?
Well, first of all, that's not true. Like, that was a rumor that the TechCrunch guys circulated. And even if that were to happen, it's fine. I mean, not everybody has to use Rails all the time. I don't think that the reasons that are being pulled ahead of why they should be abandoning Rails, it's too slow or it scales, whatever. I don't think any of those are valid. But it doesn't really matter. Like, I'm not the one writing Twitter, so if they one day, even though this particular rumor is totally false, they discredit it and so on. But even if that should happen, so what? It doesn't matter. Like, maybe the Twitter architecture is not a great fit for a traditional web framework. That's totally fine. I don't think it'll have any impact whatsoever, except to give fodder for people who kind of want a big stick to beat Rails over the head with. And so I don't think it's going to matter for anybody. Like, we have thousands of applications. We're very happy running on Rails, serving billions of page views. So it's more about, it's not so much about us, it's about you kind of thing.
Then you were listed on the 50 people that matter the most in business too. How do you think you've affected the business world?
I think that we've, with Ruby on Rails, brought more attention to programmers matter. I think that for a long time the mainstream environment kind of drummed up a feeling of the implementation specifics, the programming stuff doesn't really matter. What matters is the meetings, the functional specs, and then anybody could implement it. And I think that's complete bullcrap. I think that programmers matter, your tools matter, how you approach things matter, and it has a sizable impact on your productivity. So I think raising it again as evolution matters, that we don't have to use a C-based language for the rest of our lives is probably one of those impacts we have.
Then amongst the list was Jeff Bezos from Amazon, Bill Gates, Steve Jobs, and Sergey Brin and Larry Page from Google. Who do you think amongst these people have affected the business world the most?
I really like Jeff Bezos. As a disclaimer, he's invested a minority stake in 37 Signals, but I mean that came from kind of liking what he does. I love the fact, and for others on the list too, people who build something from scratch and stick with it. This whole notion that you're not in it for just 3 to 5 years to flip it or sell it or get out. Bezos has been building Amazon.com for a decade. He started out writing the HTML on some of the screens, and he's just been taking it up to be $1 billion company. I love stories like that. I love the kind of the impact that people who stick with something, who are not just switching around from company to company all the time, can have. And I think that, for me, a guy like Jeff Bezos really has the vision too. He has a very, very successful business in just selling all sorts of products under the sun, and now he's branching out into AWS, providing all these utility computing services, even though Wall Street is telling him that please focus on your main business. I love that he kind of has the passion to do something outside of that still.
And my last question is, what do you think makes great software?
That's a good question. I think great software is often less software. I think too much software has too many features, it's too embellished. I think that more people should be trying to write less. They should be trying to write less features, the features should be less complex, and I think that's inevitably what users want. They may say they want a lot of features, and that's the trick. The trick is that what people tell you is not necessarily what they need. So you need to be able to distinguish between obeying just what your users tell you to do and acting on their behalf. And I think people who write great software act on users' behalf instead of just obeying their commands.
Wonderful. It was wonderful meeting you.
Likewise. Great.
Thank you very much.
Thanks, guys.
David Heinemeier Hansson from Portland and Elisa Felter, GotThingsDone.com.